There it is.
Stream is live. Good morning.
Morning, Bob.
Dude, listen.
Coffee
I got
talk.
I got Mickey this morning.
What you got?
Says hit the snooze.
Look at these names at the bottom of these pictures, Bob.
I mean, we're like professionals, man.
What's that all about? I know. I got my coffee cup. It's just a growth. It's the growth trajectory. I don't know if you can see the.
Oh yeah.
little
Oh yeah.
arrow
Up and to
on
the
there.
right. That's why I
Yeah.
like it. That's why I like
Getting
it.
better, buddy. Getting better.
Hey, what's the weather like over there? Is it been
Our
is it
high
chilly this
today is
morning?
our high today is 45. Cloudy, but we're supposed to have like freezing weather tonight, and tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, I skipped my workout this morning. Today was my run day. I was gonna do a little run, but it was like 45, 40.
You were like, not gonna do
Man,
it.
I just can't do it. So I'm gonna try to circle back this evening and see how that goes.
Have you ever heard of Body 20? Have you seen these E-stem suits that you can get in
No.
and work out? So I think they're based out of Florida. They're here in Franklin. Dude, yesterday I tried one of these workouts. They say it's only 20 minutes. Literally 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you get fitted for this suit, and basically you put on this super tight base layer. They spray down these big electrodes with water, and it's pretty much big muscle groups. It's quads, hamstrings, glutes, lower spinal muscles, lats, mid back, bis, tris. And so there's a trainer with you, and it's pretty much body weight exercise, right? But the E-stem hits the body part and it doubles or triples the amount of muscle force that you're using. So you don't really have weights. We did like lunges and squats and planks. And abs. They got abs in there too. And so he'll turn it up. He said, I want it to hit a good 6 or 7 on the intensity scale. And, pretty much you're just doing like air curls, right?
Okay.
With this thing, I mean, it's contracting your muscles too. And it was pretty intense. Like even a plank, when you're doing a plank and you're squeezing abs, and then the E-stem is squeezing abs and paraspinals, locking that core in. It's like, man, I could see. I was pretty tired after 20 minutes. I mean, I was like, turn that off for a minute. I got to catch my breath because it only gives you 10 seconds of rest. 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off. I was like, give me another 10 seconds.
I like it, man. I like it. I've been really focusing more on like I don't want to hurt myself, you know?
Yeah.
I was doing the whole CrossFit thing, and I love CrossFit, whatever. It's like, it's great. But I'm also very competitive.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I get aggressive, in the gym. So like
aggressive.
Yeah, like I'll rip something off the bone, to win. I'm too deep, curl. Yeah. Yeah. Tendon off the bone. And so
that's awesome.
So I've been like, man, I can't do this. So
yeah,
I got hooked up with my buddy Dustin Thibodeau. You got to look him up on Facebook. He's into fitness. He's got like 4% body fat. You know what I mean? Like, you guys shredded.
One of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got this, he calls it the mace method. And we use a steel mace. You're familiar with mace, steel mace? Just like a steel rod with a ball on the end. Like
I saw that. I saw you doing that.
Yeah.
I saw one of your videos. Yeah.
Yeah. And you kind of swing that around. It's 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Swing that around and you kind of do some burpees and some push-ups, and that's it. 20 minutes. And I feel great.
Like a Thor hammer.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Thor hammer.
The other thing I wanted to mention to you this morning, I thought about this last night, is I had a conversation with old Spencer Shoemaker. Remember Spencer?
Oh yeah, love Spencer Shoemaker.
Yeah, he's great. He's a killer. Oh, I'm going to try to get him to speak at the next conference.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's good dude. He knows a lot, motivational, real good head on his shoulders. It's a good.
Well, he's, they've gone from, him and I open our clinics about the same time. He opened For Performance. He opened their third clinic, I think it was.
Yeah.
Back in 2019. He was either right before or right after my clinic. And they've gone from whatever it was then, like 3 clinics, to now they're at 22.
Yes. Yep.
In like 5 years.
Yep. So Spencer works with Scott Huffman. Scott Huffman's a buddy of mine too.
Yeah, Scott and Dan.
Love those guys. And Dan. Yep.
So they are doing something special over there. He also mentioned to me that his Brandon clinic, it's clinic right there in Brandon.
Yeah.
They're seeing like 900 visits a week.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
It's nuts. So I was like, dude, we've got to extract whatever you're doing and put it in a PowerPoint. God, I need a PowerPoint. like give me the PowerPoint, man.
Give me the PowerPoint, the Cliff Notes, the Chat GPT, all of it. All of it.
And he's such a humble guy. He's like, man, I don't really want to talk about myself, which I understand. So it's like, he doesn't like to, he's very intentional about like not promoting himself. So,
I used to be the same exact way until I started studying some of this leadership and then applying these biblical principles as well. Is if I've got a gift or if I'm good at something, it's almost a crime for me to hold that in. Like you're telling people about yourself in order to try to build other people up and help them do the same thing, right? So it's more of you're really not doing it from, Spencer's probably not listening right now, but Zach Randolph is. Zach said we're live, and he said
he's another killer.
Justin Thibodeau a shout out early in the pod. But I can see where somebody's not wanting to talk about themselves, but it's not for boasting. It's not for boasting. It's for, hey, here's how I've done this. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll jump on the invitation.
Oh no, I'm gonna go pick him up if I got to. He's gonna be there.
We'll fly him in. The rate they're growing, they should be getting a jet here soon.
They'll be able to run around on a helicopter.
Yeah. At least a 1985 model or something.
At least so. Refurbished.
Yeah. That's right.
But yeah, he's a good guy, and I think it's funny that you say that about, like, I call it like stepping into boldness.
Yeah,
it's kind of my lingo, and I had a mentor of mine. His name's Chris Smith. He just a powerful dude, and went through his program. He's got a program called the Ignite program, where he basically, the whole tagline of his company is uncover your identity and unlock your message to the world. Like, that's the whole point of the program. So it's really more of a personal development program and also a culture building.
Yeah.
Helping you build the identity of your culture. And so going through that program with him was a catalyst for me. And that was actually like early this year, where I really started having the mindset shift of like, I'm awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Pre that, I was like, it was more like, I hope this works out. You know what I mean? Like, I hope.
Yeah.
And like, I was kind of like, had these hopes, right?
Yep.
And then it turned into, now it's more like it's done because I'm awesome kind of a thing. And not from a place of like I'm better than you, but just from a place of like self-worth.
Oh, for sure.
Like I deserve it and my team deserves it and you deserve it. We all deserve it,
Yep.
so let's just all win,
Yeah.
and that's been cool. That's been a cool, fun transition to just do business that way.
Yeah.
It's more free. I feel
Yeah.
free,
For sure. Because you've been out of school for 8 years now. Did you get out?
2017.
Yeah. So 7 or 8 years. There's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of doubt along the way. I don't know if doubt's the right word. A little bit of a lot of anxiety along the way, I'm sure.
Fear.
But it's the old adage. You dictate your environment. So the same water that hardens an egg softens a potato. Same temperature water. So it's how you respond and how you dictate what's going to happen. It's stuff's going to happen. It's going to happen to you. We choose to let it harden us, or we choose to learn from it and roll on. And I know that's what old Spencer did. Old Zach's done the same thing. You've done the same thing. And that takes a lot of awareness, like self-discovery too. Like that,
Yeah.
what you were talking about just a second ago, that program
Yeah.
brings that, like turns on that self-awareness, self-discovery, like, oh, wait, I am good at this. And it's okay for me to say I'm good at this,
Mhm.
Because media in general will say, just keep quiet and stay in your corner. But no, we need to get out and spread the goodwill.
Yeah. And also,
Goodwill, good coffee.
yeah, it's the same kind of mindset. I don't, this is kind of a tangent, but that's okay. This is off the cuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same mindset you get when you see these guys and girls like who are like riding around in sport, like supercars.
Yeah.
And your first instinct is to think like they're selfish. They're greedy, like they're, like you kind of have like, there's a negative, maybe not for you, but for me, for a long time, there was like this negative undertone of like, you're being flashy. Stop showing off.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's more like, wow, that person must be adding a lot of value in people's life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's a different,
Another way to look at it.
Yeah, it's a different thing. And so like now I'm more like, man, I wanna, like, it's cool. Like maybe I would like a Ferrari, but like
Yeah.
I don't wake up every day and think to myself like, I want a Ferrari. I think I want to be the person who's added so much value to others that I could get a Ferrari if I wanted one,
Right.
And so, yeah, it's just a different mindset, like,
No, it is.
It's like, it's confidence coming from a place of service, not from a place of taking. It's giving, right?
Like the Go-Giver.
The
Go-Giver book.
Yeah.
Give to receive. Give to
Mhm.
receive. So you're right. You see that Ferrari instead of Ferrari. My Mississippi's coming out, but you see that, and sometimes that little bit of jealousy pops out, little pride
Mhm.
pops out.
Mhm.
If you're not trained or not aware, I'm like, that guy must have really added some tremendous value somewhere.
Yeah.
Out into his sphere because it was returned to him somehow, leaving out the Powerball winners and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they may have added a little value with that $18 ticket, but man, dude, what about this AI in the PT world? What do you think about that?
Get on board.
You got Jacob Mikowski running that Comprehend AI.
Yeah. So I'm two things that come to mind is number one, they're like billing.
Yeah.
So I saw a stat the other day, and I'm not gonna. I'm kind of. I'm recalling the stat. I can't remember. Like, don't guys, I'm just talking here. But it was that the rising. Basically, they look at the rising healthcare costs over the last 10 years, and the percentage of expense related to admin versus is outpacing the percentage of expense related to clinical and actually like diagnostic care and things like that. So the administrative burden
Oh,
is the
yeah.
thing causing the most expense and
Yeah.
bogging down the biggest growing bottleneck in the healthcare system.
That's a good word for it, bottleneck. Yeah.
So in the way that our economy is, it's like supply and demand. Like if there's obviously there's a demand, there's just a growing demand
Mhm.
to manage administrative burden more efficiently inside the healthcare system right now.
Yeah.
So the market is going to respond just like it has since Christopher Columbus got here. You know what I mean? Like it's going to respond.
Yep.
So it's swinging. People are catching on. People are recognizing it. And I'm not saying AI is the perfect solution, but it's the one we have now. And the two areas that I see it making the biggest impact in practices right now is revenue cycle management. So billing and collections is a big one.
Yep.
So Athelis is a pretty big company that's
Yep.
doing a lot of great things.
Yep.
Also, Prediction Health. They're doing a lot of things with compliance and chart audits and making sure you have defensible documentation, all that compliance stuff. And then just documentation in general. So like AI scribes, like Comprehend PT and those guys.
Well, there's predicting recovery. There's some AI that are predicting recovery in other spaces, just from medical records and letting AI know what happened, if it's ACL tear, if the surgery was there 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks after, and it can predict recovery pretty well based on all that insurance data, right? And all the AI powered data extraction and study in 2200ths of a second. It's changing how we engage with the patients too, right? So it's like, all right, we kind of know now that you're going to need at least 12 visits, but it's right on the money. And so with billing, recovery, they got VAs, right? Virtual assistants through, it's not AI, but it's tech, right? Some of these front desks don't have a physical body up there.
Yeah, we've got a guy in our program out of Chicago who, I mean, he's running like 30% profit margins in his clinic right now, like just killing it. And he completely went virtual on his front desk.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, people are becoming innovative. I was having conversations with Nathan Shields. Nathan's my partner.
Yeah.
And he's got a good buddy. And I mean, but it's both of our buddies. His name is Will Humphreys. He owns a billing company. He does a lot of cool stuff in the space. And him and I were having dinner one time, and we started asking, and this was probably 2 years ago. And AI was a thing, but it wasn't really a thing yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, we started having the conversation of like, what's the future of the industry? Like, how are we going to fix this thing? And I was like, me and Will both just looked at Nathan. It's like, what are we going to do, Nathan?
What are we going to do, Nathan?
I mean, you got 800 podcast episodes, and you're just talking to people all the time about it. Like, you're the person that knows. And he said those who pivot will survive.
That's right.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And so now you're starting to see it, like the traditional models and how we deliver care and you running 6 and 8% profit margins in your practice is not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's going
Yep.
to get harder and
And
harder
harder.
and harder. You will go out of business. You can quote me on that one.
No, I totally get it.
So decide not to work harder, decide to work smarter. And that means you got to learn new skills. That means you got to step
Yeah.
out of treatment. You got to study. You got to learn. You got to hang around with people who are doing new things. You got to learn how to implement, learn how to execute, learn how to lead your team. It's just, you just got to, that's what you got to do.
That's what you got to do. You got to pivot.
Yeah.
So, the pivot, there's an old Friends episode that they were moving a couch and up these stairs in the Friends episode. And the guy was like, pivot, pivot, pivot. It was like turn the couch. And there's a leadership principle about pivot. And it's pretty simple, but a pivot is like in basketball, is a change in direction with one foot that stays grounded. But you change direction, but you have a foundation with one foot that stays at the root, stays attached to the foundation, but you can pivot directions and go a different direction and maintain your foundational studies. But you have to adapt, because you'll get left behind. I mean, it's the old internet. I mean, it took 20 years, but now you really can't function without it. So it's growth and it's challenging. But what growth is not challenging?
Mhm.
What growth is not uphill?
Yeah. And this is not a novel concept.
No.
It's
John
been around
Maxwell.
for decades.
Anything worthwhile is going to be an uphill stride.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm thinking about, we all know those business owners who are probably in their 60s, early 60s,
Oh yeah.
who are still all on paper, who still don't have an electronic fax machine yet. They still have the same old ding, 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 ding.
That 3% Medicare cut's worth it to them to not go to EMR, right?
So like they are, and what are they doing? They're barely hanging on.
Yeah.
They're working, they're 60 and they're still working 40 hours, 50, 60 hours a week. And now they're you see it all the time in the M&A space. Like
I do.
And now they're kind of like, oh my God, what should I do? And it's like, you didn't remember when they started having like electronic stuff, like you should have got on board instead of being stubborn,
Well, they learn, they listen and they learn. And there's the old crossing the chasm. You got your early adopters, the majority of us, me being in the middle of the bell curve. And then you got what's the end group? Late adopters or laggards.
Yeah.
You ever read that book, Crossing the Chasm?
No, I'm just envisioning a bell curve.
It just talks about the general population. Like when a new iPhone comes out, we got Bo Muffaletto in here on the phone. You know Bo?
I know Bo. What's up, man? I mean, we used to work out at the CrossFit gym in Jackson whenever I was at UMC.
Oh yeah. Bo's a stud, buddy.
BAU. That's the fancy version, not the BO.
Oh yeah, that is fancy. That's Louisiana fancy.
That's what it is, man.
Thibodeau, Bo.
Yeah, Bo's a nice guy. I like him a lot.
Yeah. So the general population, there's your early adopters, like when their new iPhone comes out, there's a handful of people that are going to camp out in front of the Verizon store 2 days before the phone comes out. And then most everybody else is going to wait until we kind of get all the bugs out of it. And then people like some of my family will wait until all the bugs have gone out and they've had it for 10 years. And those are the laggards that probably maybe still have a flip phone today. There are some out there.
Razor, a razor,
The razors. So anyway.
So where do you think the sweet spot is?
Honestly,
if you get in too quick, you don't let it's kind of like, and going back to Spencer, like one of our little running joke is like, I just let Spencer figure it out. And then once he figures it out, I ask him how to do it. And then I do it. So I think there's an element of like, let other people kind of figure it out first. But then there's an element of like, okay, now it's time to get on board, So where's that sweet spot, you think?
I love getting the phone calls that clinicians are considering an exit strategy in 5 years or 6 or 7 years. That is the sweet spot. If somebody says, man, 3 years ago, we were seeing 1,000 patients a month. Now we're down to like 300 and I'm exhausted. And so there's not a whole lot there to work with, right? It's kind of like just taking a car at the end of its life, letting the air flow out of the tires, not having an oil change in the last 10,000 miles, low on gas, and then taking it to the dealership and trying to get it traded in. Because it's an emotional decision if somebody decides to exit a clinic, but it really just takes that quiet time to gain some clarity. That's where I think any of that, do you want to get a new iPhone? Do you want to add another practice? Do you want to sell your practice? Do you want to hire another PT? What are the fears? Address the fears, acknowledge the fears, and then let data work it out. Like the Spencers of the world and you and some of these folks have kind of already figured that out. And so it's there. It's already been worked on, so I don't know. May not answer the sweet spot question, but this is just morning PT coffee talk anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever fully appreciated the analogy that you shared about the pivot. And yeah, like what I heard and felt whenever you said that was like the foundation is your like who you are, like your culture, your value, like what do you stand for is important. I think that needs to be priority number one. And then also I think that, my model is like my philosophy, if you will, has always been like the win-win-win. We've talked about the win-win-win. It's like the win for the patients, the win for the team, and the win for the business. Like you got to have all three.
Yep.
And where I see practice owners, and I'm assuming it's pretty consistent across most industries, is we put all of our eggs in the win for the patients or clients and a win for the team, and we forget about the business. And so whenever we hear, oh, we're going to start doing AI documentation, right? We are quick to make that an ethical issue that's not fair to the patient.
Yeah.
Right. And there's some fear behind that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're like, I'm not going to no. Patients first, like whatever, like, and it's like, wait a minute. Let's zoom out a little more,
Yeah. Yeah.
And not be emotional. Like you said, like quiet time. And, how can we maintain integrity with our understanding that like, hey, the business if we don't have a business, we can't do anything for anybody.
Mm-mm.
Right. So, maybe that's the pivot, right? Like, it's like, we still have to stay true to our morals and our principles and like what really matters. And we can't get too caught up in that emotion of like the first instinct, like negative emotion that we have driving our decisions.
Yeah, that's true. Especially those of us that have the shiny object syndrome.
Yes. Speaking of shiny object, I got a call with Tanya today.
Are you really?
What's up, Tanya?
I got Doug Peterman. Doug Peterman's on here. He's a buddy of mine from Hattiesburg from a previous life.
I know Doug. I feel like
Doug Peterman's down in Hattiesburg. I believe he's still there. And then Shelby Rawlings out of Atlanta, Georgia. Shelby's a realtor friend of mine. But yeah, it's a shiny object syndrome. It is backing off 10,000 feet. It's cutting, 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours out of your week, depending on how large your practice is, to work on the business.
yeah.
I've always used this plumbing analogy. A buddy of mine owned a plumbing company, and they would spend one Saturday a month working on the trucks, which was the business, because those trucks needed to be functional on Monday morning, or therefore everything else fell. If you got 5 trucks and 3 of them are down, you can't operate, right? So he has to work on the business by changing the oil and transmissions and transmission fluid and tires and alignment and all that. Same thing with the PT world. If you don't work on your business, because it's your responsibility as the CEO, because you've created, we had the dream, create our practice. Why do we want to practice? Because I can kind of dictate this environment. I can make sure the patients have great treatment. I can make sure the people that work for me have a great employer. And so that focus is there. And then you get 2, 3, and 4, and 8 therapists, and 10, and then 2 clinics and 4 clinics. And the more you grow, the more you have to back out to work on that baby, to keep the gas mileage up and keep it healthy, right? So, hey, I got 8:40. Might have to cut short. I do have a 9 o'clock today, buddy. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this thing. Where's your coffee? Where's your coffee cup? You got it? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What else? How's your day look today before we head off?
I have got a atrociously busy day today.
Okay.
So I've got this with you, and then I've got like 3 or 4 coaching calls back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
Then I'm doing an Instagram live with a awesome person. Then I gotta go. I'm going live in the Facebook group later today.
Yeah.
I'm doing a podcast with Tanya.
Yeah.
I got a lot.
Live all day. That's good.
Yeah.
I enjoy it too, because we're just I mean, I don't get tired of trying to add value. It sounds cliche, but honestly, really trying to add value to people. I love it when people type in questions, and if I know the answer, great. If I don't, it's even better, because I get to call somebody and find that answer for you. Because I will dig up somebody that knows the answer, from an attorney to another therapist to somebody that owns 700 clinics or 1,200 clinics or 3 or 2 or 1. So,
man, listen.
Yeah, buddy.
We can end with this or not, but I did want to tell you that I didn't finish my story about Spencer. Your name got brought up in our conversation, and I wanted to tell you what I told Spencer. I said,
dangerous.
You will never find somebody who is more caring and passionate about other people's success than Tanny Crawford.
Man, I think Adam Robin gives me a close run for my money, buddy.
So I just wanted to let you know, that's what I think about you. And that's the word I'm spreading about you. Cause I think you're freaking awesome. Like, what you're saying right now is like, I believe it. Like, it's like, I see it every day.
Every day.
You just pour into people. So that's why you're successful, man.
Well, I appreciate you doing what you do out in the world too. Well, next Thursday's Thanksgiving, but we'll try to keep this Thursday morning, 8 o'clock coffee.
Thursday rhythm. Yeah, we can go. Cool. We can go for 30 minutes. I'll be ready.
All right, Bubba. Have a great day in Louisiana.
Yeah, you too, man. Don't work too hard.
Easy. All right,
Peace
buddy.
out, brother.
See ya. Bye.